I opened a pet shop in the terror game. A group of reckless players insisted on breaking in. They wanted to kill me, an NPC, and my animals for points. But they did not know I had placed a ward. Once any animal leaves the pet shop, it reveals its true form. That scrawny orange cat is actually a Siberian tiger. That little golden retriever snoring away is a 3-headed hellhound. The little snake curled up in the corner is a mutated giant forest python, and it has been hungry for a very long time. After I dropped dead from overworking while operating on animals, I came to the terror game to apply for an NPC job. I was so dedicated that I was soon promoted to a minor boss. I even got my own game level. I named it Pet Paradise. I have never liked violence, so I made the difficulty low. Players only need to rescue animals to clear it. Lots of players enjoyed my level. With time on my hands, I returned to my old profession as a vet. To promote my new shop, I wandered through every level handing out flyers. Before long, all the monsters recognized me. My first customer was Granny Koo from the neighboring Happy Community level. Granny Koo hobbled into my shop with her cane. I immediately rose to greet her warmly. Welcome. Are you here to shop, or does your pet need treatment? Something has been wrong with my Mimi lately. She is eating less and has no energy every day. I think she may be sick. But I am a monster. I cannot take her to a pet hospital in the real world. It is all right, Granny. Granny Q's voice was full of guilt. Bring her in first for a thorough examination. I reassured Granny and told her not to worry. But Granny Q did not move. She looked my shop over, then shook her head. I think you should come outside and see. I had no idea what she meant. Puzzled, I followed her outside. The instant I stepped out, some animal gave me a huge lick across the face. My face was coated in saliva, and it felt a little prickly. I wiped my face and opened my eyes. A massive Siberian tiger stood before me. It was chubby, with clear, innocent eyes. I pointed at the Siberian tiger in disbelief. Granny, you call this Mimi? But my shock was quickly replaced by excitement. In all my years as a doctor, I had never treated a Siberian tiger. This was a one-of-a-kind experience for me. But another problem soon arose. The Siberian tiger was simply too large. The moment she came in, my entire shop felt cramped. Never mind examining her with my equipment. My X-ray machine could only scan one of her paws. I scratched my head awkwardly. Granny, is there any way you can make Mimi smaller? Granny Q nodded. Using some unknown ability, she made the tiger start shrinking. Gradually, she became a chubby orange cat. Now the examination would be much easier. Mimi was very cooperative. She lay obediently on the X-ray machine. When the results came back, I told Granny Q why Mimi had been so listless. Granny, Mimi has indigestion. Look, her stomach is full of undigested food. She is also constipated with a belly full of poop. Have you been feeding her too much? Granny stroked the orange cat's head and said, I only fed her 22 pounds of meat. Mimi was so sweet, she cleaned her bowl every time. I was dumbfounded. 22 pounds of meat? Apparently, there is a kind of hunger called Grandma thinks you're starving. I told Granny Q to feed her only around 11 pounds from now on. I also prescribed Mimi some digestive medicine. After the appointment, Mimi suddenly jumped into my arms and whispered in my ear. She asked me for a favor. Before I could ask more, Granny Q pulled a tightly wrapped bundle of money from a plastic bag and offered it to me. No need, Granny. I refused it. The monster world is different from the real world. Other monsters' pets might be just as dangerous. Could you do me a favor? I asked Granny Q to place a ward on my shop. Any animal that enters would automatically shrink. With the ward in place, treatment became much easier. One night, frantic knocking woke me. Doctor Jiang, please save my dog. The girl's voice was frantic. Professional instinct sent me scrambling out of bed. The moment I opened the door, I saw the girl covered in blood. Ignoring her own wounds, she clutched my hand tightly. Granny Q said you can treat animals. Doctor, please save my dog. He is badly hurt. Don't be afraid. I'm here. As I spoke, she was about to kneel. I looked behind her. A 3-headed monster stood there. It was enormous, at least 16 feet long. It looked rather like a 3-headed hellhound. Its body was riddled with bloody holes. A long gash across its head was so deep that bone showed through. Without wasting a word, I told the girl to bring it into the pet shop. The hellhound instantly shrank into a golden retriever. Seeing the golden retriever's condition, tears poured down the girl's face. I quickly took the hellhound into the operating room. I cleaned the wounds, stopped the bleeding, and stitched them closed. The hellhound was gravely injured. Every wound had been meant to kill it. It took me a full 2 hours to stitch every wound shut. When I left the operating room, the girl hurriedly asked how it went. Don't worry. The surgery was a success. He's unconscious from blood loss. As long as he makes it through tonight, he'll be fine. The girl let out a long breath and clutched my hand, thanking me again and again. Seeing blood still seep from her wounds, I said, You can't hold on much longer either, can you? If you trust me, I can treat your wounds for now. The girl looked no older than 17 or 18. I couldn't understand how monsters like them had been hurt so badly. After treating the girl's wounds, I asked her about it. The girl answered, Miss, I'm an NPC from the Hell level. You can call me Xixi. Tonight, a group of players broke into Hell. Without a word, they grabbed weapons and attacked every NPC. Every time they killed an NPC, they cheered. They kept shouting, another 100 points in the bag. I'm only an ordinary NPC. There were so many of them. I couldn't fight them off. At the last second, Xiaoji rushed in and took the fatal blow for me. He held me in his mouth. He used his body to withstand the barrage of attacks. We held on until the big boss finally appeared. As she spoke, tears flooded down her face again. So that was what happened. It seems some players were vicious too. If people like that entered my level, I'd just kill them. Looking at Xixi and Xiaoji, I felt deeply moved. Xixi, how did you and Xiaoji meet? To distract her, I asked. At the mention of their meeting, the girl's eyes softened with tenderness. I raised Xiaoji from when he was little. We were in a car accident and came to the terror game together. I was too weak, so players were always bullying me. He suffered a lot by my side too. Then one day, he nearly died protecting me. Even thinking about it still terrifies me. I decided to send him to the big boss. Under the big boss, he would at least be safe from harm. But I never expected Xiaoji to disappear. When he returned, he'd become this. For me, he sought out Frankenstein to alter his body. He turned himself into this monster. Xiaoji, lying on the hospital bed, opened his eyes and said, Xixi, to protect you, I don't mind becoming a monster. I will become the strongest monster. Then no player will ever dare bully you again. Sob. I really want to cry. I pulled out a tissue and blew my nose. Don't worry. I'll definitely cure Xiaoji, but he'll need to recover at the pet shop for a while. You can visit him every day after work. After Xixi and Xiaoji were attacked by players, I couldn't shake my unease. I kept feeling those players would return. So, while handing out flyers, I warned the NPCs in every level. If anything felt wrong, they had to run for it. Thanks to my warning, many NPCs escaped the players' attacks. To thank me, everyone came to support my business. I understood why those with pets were buying things. But why were those without pets buying cat food and dog food? The NPCs answered with grins. We'll use it to feed stray cats and dogs. Her. They made excuses as they stuffed things into their arms. They only stopped when they couldn't carry anymore. The terror game returned to its usual peace. My pet shop business flourished too. One day, I was organizing goods on the shelves. Suddenly, I heard a long hiss from outside. At the same time, the sky seemed to go dark. Was it about to rain? I stepped outside the pet shop to investigate. The next second, a gigantic snake head appeared before me. Its crimson-slit pupils fixed on me, radiating an icy chill. I nearly fainted from fright. Which big shot's pet was this? Could they not have warned me first? The giant python coiled itself around my little shop. It felt like one slight squeeze would reduce my shop to rubble. My heart was practically pounding out of my chest. But I kept up a calm facade. Are you here to buy something? Or to see a doctor? Hiss. The giant python spoke. Can you treat illnesses? I nodded furiously. If you're here for treatment, please come in through the front door. The giant python coiled around the roof a few more times before slithering down. The instant it entered the shop, it shrank proportionally. It became a beautiful beauty rat snake. But why was this rat snake as fat as a barrel? Its scales were sticking out. Once inside, the rat snake looked around curiously. It even slithered over to Xiaoji's bed and stared at him for quite a while. Xiaoji was asleep. But for some reason, I felt Xiaoji was only pretending. He was even trembling slightly. He seemed terrified of this chubby king rat snake. Why hasn't your owner arrived yet? Owner. I am the king of 100 snakes. I don't need such a thing. I was completely baffled. Xiaoji explained in a low voice. Doctor Jiang. He's the snake king from the Snake Island horror level. I heard the snakes there are all extremely vicious. Don't make him angry. The rat snake shot Xiaoji a glare, and Xiaoji quickly shut his eyes and played asleep. So he was a wild snake. What's wrong? Where does it hurt? The rat snake circled me a few times before speaking. My mouth hurts, and I'm always dizzy. Especially when I stand up suddenly, everything goes black. I heard you can cure anything here. Examine me, and tell this king what's wrong. So he was a painfully melodramatic snake. I played along and asked, Your Majesty, Snake King, let's start with an examination. Open your mouth. Let me see if there's anything stuck in there. The Snake King obediently opened his mouth. Parts of his mouth were ulcerated and swollen. It looked like mouth rot. I used a swab to collect some discharge. Then I drew some blood and sent it to the lab. When the results came back, the Snake King not only had bacterial mouth rot, but also very high blood lipids. Normally, mouth rot would hurt too much for him to eat. Yet he was chubby and had high blood lipids. It made no sense. Your mouth has hurt for at least a month. How can you still eat? The Snake King sighed. My underlings are useless. I have to handle everything myself. Every round, the Snake Island horror level receives at least 100 players. If they survive for 10 days, they clear the level. But instead of lying low, these players set their sights on snake eggs. Rumor has it that eating snake eggs strengthens the body, granting in human power. The players stubbornly camped near the nest, hunting mother snakes and stealing their eggs. As the king of 100 snakes, I have to patrol every day. Whenever I catch players stealing eggs, I coil around them and crush them to death. To frighten the others, even through the agony of mouth rot, I swallow every one of them whole. Only now that the players have settled down has he found time to see a doctor. Being a leader isn't easy either. I couldn't help sighing after hearing that. I took out boric acid solution to disinfect the Snake King's mouth. Then I applied an ointment. I instructed him to apply it twice daily. Use it for 10 days, and you'll recover completely. Since you have no owner, stay at the shop for these 10 days. I'll apply the medicine. And during that time, you can't eat players anymore. Your blood lipids are too high. You need a healthy diet. You need to lose weight. The Snake King haughtily raised his head. Of course I know that. Your bed is next to Xiaoji's. At that, Xiaoji immediately raised his head, his face stricken. He wanted to refuse, but didn't dare. There was no other choice. I was alone in the shop. I had to care for both of them and run the shop. I simply couldn't manage it all. Xiaoji would just have to be scared for a few days. After the Snake King began dieting, I made him low-fat, low-calorie meals every day. I strictly controlled his calorie intake. Every day, the Snake King cried beside me, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. But my heart had turned to stone. To cure him completely, I ignored his constant nagging. He found a cookbook somewhere and kept circling me, reciting recipes. It made my mouth water. Ever since I started working in the horror game, I hadn't eaten human food in a long time. After work one day, I heard the Stitch monster from the neighboring level say that a stuffed egg pancake shop had opened in the horror game. I rushed over at once and ordered a deluxe stuffed egg pancake. It tasted exactly like the ones I had eaten in the real world. It was heavenly. From then on, I got one every day after work. The Snake King followed me and got to taste this human delicacy too. During that time, Mimi came to see me again. She wanted me to find an orange cat that looked like her. Though I didn't know what Mimi wanted, I still did it anyway. Maybe Mimi wanted a pet too. Another quiet day. A breathtakingly beautiful merman came to my door. I recognized him. He was Mu Li, the boss of Temptation of the Siren. The moment Mu Li saw me, tears fell before he could even speak. Doctor, I think I have a terminal illness. I don't have long left. I went to a human hospital, but they said they couldn't admit me because I'm a merman. They told me to see a veterinarian. Thinking about it, the hospital wasn't wrong. Merfolk and humans are very different after all. I gently patted Mu Li's back to comfort him. I am a veterinarian. Tell me exactly what's wrong. Doctor, Mu Li said tearfully. Lately I feel unbearably hot all the time, and I've been terribly depressed. Even my scales have started falling off. I checked an ancient book. It says I have a terminal illness and will die soon. I'd never treated a merman before, but I figured it should be similar to treating fish. How about I examine you first? Mu Li nodded and transformed into a beautiful koi fish. After running every test, I fell silent. All his readings were normal, and he was a young fish in his prime. He didn't have any illness at all. Then why did he feel so unbearably hot? Could it be excessive internal heat? But I knew nothing about traditional medicine. As I lowered my head to think, a possibility suddenly struck me. Could you be in heat? It's spring, the breeding season for animals. Though merfolk have human upper bodies, they are still animals in the end. What does being in heat mean? Muli asked after thinking for a moment. I asked curiously. Didn't the adults in your family teach you how merfolk reproduce? At the mention of family, Muli lowered his eyes, his expression unreadable. I don't have a family. Humans took my family away. I've never seen them again. I wanted to sew my own mouth shut. Why did my stupid mouth blurt that out so soon? I'm the worst. I took Muli to ask the oldest group of NPCs in the horror game. In the end, we confirmed that he was in heat. I looked at him with mixed feelings. There's no treatment for being in heat. Why don't you do something else to distract yourself? Muli stared blankly. But I don't know what else I can do. Or I could perform a neutering operation. When I was alive, I performed plenty of castrations at the pet hospital. One girl even gave me a thank you banner. It read, Bomb Disposal Expert. My gaze drifted downward, and I couldn't hide the excitement in my voice. You're a merman, but your anatomy should be similar to a fish's, right? Muli recoiled 10 steps in terror. Thank you, Dr. Jiang. I feel like I'm already cured. I think my home just caught fire. I need to go. Goodbye, miracle doctor. With that, he fled in a panic. I covered my mouth and snickered. He really was still a child. After Muli left, Grandma Ku came to the shop with Mimi. Dr. Jiang, everyone in the happy community scenario is going on a team building trip. Mimi is too conspicuous, so we can't bring her along. Could you board her at your shop for a while? I took Mimi's leash. Of course, Grandma Ku. Have a wonderful time. Just like that, my shop gained another little companion. One day, after removing Xiaoji's stitches and preparing the Snake King's weight loss meal, I heard a loud bang outside. My front door was blasted to pieces. A group of players swaggered inside, weapons slung over their shoulders. Boss, she's the one spreading the news everywhere. Because of her, we haven't killed a single NPC. The guild has been broke as hell lately. We're fighting to the death over low-level items. The scar-faced man leading them gave a disdainful laugh. She's just a boss from a beginner level. One shell is all I need to blast her sky high. The players behind him shouted, Boss is incredible. But Scarface shook his head. This bitch has kept our guild broke for far too long. We can't let her off that easily. We'll make her wish she were dead for crossing us. Look at all the animals in her shop. Why not start with them? Xiaoli, go tie her up. I want her to watch what happens when you mess with us. Xiaoli immediately took out an item and approached me. After several exchanges, I was overpowered. One moment of carelessness, and Xiaoli's item bound me tight. I couldn't break free from the ropes. Strange. With their strength, they never should have been assigned to a beginner level. They must have found a way to deceive the main god space. Scarface, their leader, pulled over a chair and sat down. Crossing one leg over the other, he gave the order. Whoever kills these animals first gets the points. The players grew excited. Eager to impress his boss, Xiaoli stepped forward first and approached Xiaoji. Xiaoji let out a low growl. My heart sank. Xiaoji had only just had his stitches removed. Any strenuous movement could split the wound open again. Xiaoli scoffed. A dumb animal dares challenge me. I'll teach you a proper lesson. He conjured a baseball bat and swung it viciously at Xiaoji's head. Xiaoji nimbly dodged and leaped aside. The other players burst out laughing. Humiliated and enraged, Xiaoli used a control item to freeze Xiaoji in place. Then he took out a knife and viciously stabbed Xiaoji in the hind leg. Blood immediately gushed out. Rage made my eyes bloodshot. Xiaoji had lost too much blood when he was injured last time. He had only just regained some strength over this period, and now this bastard had hurt him again. Luckily, Xiaoji quickly broke free and leaped up high to hide. One of them circled behind Mimi and grabbed her by the scruff. Mimi was too small. Though she thrashed wildly, she couldn't escape. I was mad with rage. I struggled against the ropes with all my strength. You cowards, if you've got guts, come at me. What kind of tough guy hurts helpless animals? Scarface patted my cheek. Then, without mercy, he plunged a knife into my stomach. Then a smile spread across his face. I found a great way to farm points. As long as they don't die, we can keep stabbing them and keep earning points. Everyone grew excited and began throwing out items to catch Xiaoji. Mimi nearly fell into their hands. Luckily, she reacted quickly and clawed the man. Enduring the pain, I searched everywhere for the Snake King. I hoped he would hide before they found him. Then I saw a plump rat snake appear at the doorway. It was slithering outside as fast as it could. That's right. These players didn't know the pet shop had a restriction placed on it. Nor did they know that once outside, the animals would return to their true forms. I shouted, Mimi, Xiaoji, don't worry about me. Run outside now. Scarface gave a cold snort. You think you can run? Not so easily. But the next second, he was stunned. The rat snake had already slithered out of the pet shop. Free of the restriction, it rapidly expanded back into its true form, a mutated giant forest python. It coiled around the building. Its vertical pupils stared coldly at every player below. Hiss. This king is starving. The sight was enough to make anyone break out in a cold sweat. The whole building went dark. Someone's legs buckled first, their voice trembling. Boss? That looks like the Snake King from Terror on Snake Island. It ate many of our teammates before. What nonsense are you talking about? The Snake King disappeared ages ago. How could it appear in a beginner level? You've lost your mind. He said that, but Scarface was clearly struggling to stay on his feet. Even his hands were shaking. Then he viciously stabbed me again. Talk. Is this your doing? I couldn't hold it in and cried out in pain. Mimi's for bristled as she and Xiaoji stood protectively in front of me. I tried to keep my voice steady. Xiaoji, Mimi, get outside. Once you're out, you'll regain your true forms. But they remained in front of me, refusing to move. The players were too terrified of the Snake King to make another move. Scarface's eyes shifted as he spoke. Don't panic. As long as we stay inside the shop, the Snake King can't touch us. The other players caught on. The boss is right. Then we can just kill this level's boss and clear it. They tried to hide inside the shop, but the Snake King gave them no chance to hide. Coiled around the building, it constricted tighter and tighter. The roof began to crack, raining down chunks of stone and rubble. With a bang, the window glass shattered and sprayed in every direction. My heart ached. The shop I'd worked so hard to build was about to become rubble. Seconds later, the entire shop collapsed. Through the thick clouds of dust, a Siberian tiger appeared. Behind her stood an even larger three-headed hellhound. Drool dripped from each of its heads. They stared viciously and hungrily at the players below. Before the players could react, Xiaoji charged. He clamped his jaws around Scarface, their leader. Scarface snapped out of it. He raised his Gatling gun and fired straight at Xiaoji's face. But the damage was nothing more than a tickle to him. Another of his heads snatched Scarface away. It chewed him up and swallowed him. They watched their strongest leader fall. He did not last even 1 second against the Hellhound. The players broke down. Isn't this a beginner level? How can it have a triple S ranked anomaly like the Snake King? And a double S ranked three-headed Hellhound? And that Siberian tiger is no pushover either. I saw her in Happy Community. She killed over a dozen players in one night. We've been tricked. This level's final boss must be above triple S rank. She hasn't even acted, and her underlings are already killing us. If the final boss makes a move, do we have any chance of surviving? The players gave up resisting and scattered in panic. But the Snake King had already formed a barrier with his body, like an airtight wall over 5 meters tall. Xiao Li tried to use an item to fly away, but Mimi locked onto him the moment he rose a meter off the ground. I forgot to mention, though Mimi was a Siberian tiger, she was still a feline. Just like house cats, she loved flying toys. Mimi's eyes gleamed as she crouched and sprang. She caught Xiao Li and dragged him back down. A Siberian tiger's swipe hits with the force of at least 110 pounds. I thought I heard bones crack. Xiao Li lay on the ground, his chest caved in as blood poured from his mouth. Clearly, he was barely clinging to life. 2 members of the team had died in quick succession. Both had been killed effortlessly. Some players had already given up resisting. They fell to their knees, bowing desperately before Xiaoji and Mimi. Don't kill me. I was only following orders. Scarface, the one responsible, is already dead. Please spare me. I didn't hurt you. Please, let me go home. I was wrong. I'll never enter this level again. But the player who knelt first was the very one who suggested torturing Mimi and the others for points. Mimi was no fool. She brought down one paw and crushed him into a bloody pulp. Seeing that begging did no good, the players collapsed to the ground in terror. But some chose to make one final stand. Brothers, kill them, and we still have a chance to live. As long as we get the points, the main god space can save us if we're still breathing. The Snake King glanced at him, then struck in an instant. His fangs pierced the player's stomach, pumping in venom, until the player's entire body turned bluish-purple. The Snake King raised his head and swallowed the man. I quickly climbed onto the Snake King's head and smacked him hard. You have high blood lipids. No matter how hungry you are, you can't eat people. And who knows how much bacteria that man is carrying. Do you want your mouth infection to heal or not? Spit him out now. With a retch, the Snake King vomited out the player, covered in slime. Mimi and Xiaoji had also finished off the remaining players. The fight lasted less than 5 minutes. Calling it a fight was generous. It was a one-sided slaughter. Sitting atop the Snake King's head, I looked down at the ruins and sighed deeply. Sigh. Looks like this level will have to close for a while. Where am I supposed to find construction workers in this horror game? What a headache. Mimi found the little orange cat I had rescued in the rubble. Oh. I'd almost forgotten about him. Mimi had previously asked me to find her an orange cat. This was a cat I encountered in another level. He was nothing but skin and bones from hunger, so I brought him back. When the players broke in, the little orange cat slipped out the back door. Mimi gently placed the little orange cat in my palm. I asked in confusion, "Why did you ask me to find a little orange cat?" Mimi whispered a few words in my ear, then left without looking back. The next day, Grandma Ku returned from team building, but my scenario was still in ruins. Not wanting her to worry, I went to find her in the happy community level. Grandma Ku happily brought me inside. Her home was warm and cozy. Photos of Mimi and Grandma Ku were everywhere. I thought to myself, so this is what an old cat lady is like. I handed Grandma Ku the little orange cat, fast asleep in my arms, but I was too guilty to meet her eyes. I couldn't tell Grandma Ku Mimi had left. Mimi never told me where she was going. Grandma Ku took the little orange cat. She placed him in a clean bed, warm from the sun. Thank you for bringing me this kitten. But where is my Mimi? I froze. I thought Grandma Ku would not notice for a few days, but she saw through it anyway. Even though I had asked Muli for help to make the little orange cat look like Mimi in her smaller form, Grandma Ku still saw through the disguise at a glance. I stammered and could not speak. Mimi had specifically asked me not to tell her before leaving. Mimi said her time was near, and she had only days left. She did not want Grandma Ku to know and be heartbroken. I'm sorry, Grandma. I can't tell you. I thought she would throw me out. Instead, Grandma Ku took my hand. I don't blame you. Come on, let's go find Mimi together. I asked in shock. Grandma, you know where Mimi is? Of course. She's my family. How could I not know? After walking for a long time, we found Mimi deep in the forest. She was curled up beneath a large tree, unaware of us. Grandma Ku softly called to her. Mimi instantly opened her eyes and turned around. Then she began to cry. It was the first time I had seen an animal cry. In veterinary medicine, tears are only a physiological response. Felines do not cry from emotion like humans do. I never believed animals could express emotion through tears. But what I saw left me no choice but to believe. Mimi threw herself into Grandma Ku's arms. Grandma Ku stroked Mimi's head again and again, comforting her. Don't be afraid. This time, you will simply sleep forever. It will not hurt like it did last time. It turned out poachers had brutally killed Mimi before she entered the horror game. After entering the horror game, she attacked every human without distinction. Every day, she hid in the forest, until Grandma Ku appeared. Only then did she lower her guard and live peacefully with humans. Grandma Ku, can anomalies die a second time? I asked Grandma Ku whether anomalies could die a second time. Of course. Every anomaly has a limited lifespan. Otherwise, the levels could not be updated. Those are rules set by the higher-ups. Then, when anomalies die, do they disappear forever? Grandma Ku shook her head. As long as we remember them, they will not disappear. That's right. As long as we remember Mimi, she will live forever in our memories. Grandma Ku held Mimi. She held her for a very long time. Mimi rested comfortably in Grandma Ku's arms, her eyes half closed. She purred softly. In the end, Mimi took her last breath in Grandma Ku's arms and disappeared. At dawn, Grandma Ku finally stood and brushed the dust from her clothes. Come on. Let's go home. Grandma Ku held a simple farewell ceremony for Mimi. To my surprise, many anomalies came. They had all come to mourn the Siberian tiger. But the gathering was only temporary. When everyone was gone, Grandma Ku returned alone to a home filled with traces of Mimi. She could no longer contain her grief, and tears fell. Meow. The little orange cat came out and rubbed against Grandma Ku's palm. He curled up in Grandma Ku's arms, trying to comfort her. Grandma Ku sniffled and used the little orange cat to wipe away her tears. Mimi. Thank you for leaving little Mimi to keep this old woman company. 3 months later, my pet shop was rebuilt. At the same time, the pet paradise level I managed was upgraded to intermediate difficulty. I was puzzled. My strength clearly had not improved, but nobody offered an explanation. So I kept running my pet shop while dealing with players. For some reason, more and more anomalies in the horror game began keeping pets. And their pets came in every imaginable form. There were ones that flew, crawled, and swam. One anomaly even kept a rock as a pet. When he brought the rock to my shop for pet supplies, a player mocked him for being crazy, for raising a useless rock. The anomaly grabbed the rock and shouted, "Go, Xiaoji." The next second, he smashed the player's head open. After that, no player dared mock him again. I did not dare say much either, afraid he would smash my head too. Business was so good that I could not keep up. So I asked Mu Li, the young merman, to help out. On Mu Li's first day helping out, he nearly watered a spirit herb to death with seawater. Half laughing and half crying, I held his water-speckled hands. I taught him, hand in hand, which water suited which spirit herbs. Look, these spirit herbs need fresh water. Seawater will kill them. He possessed the gentle spiritual aura of a sea demon. He was especially good at soothing aquatic pets. He also kept the shop's chores in perfect order, taking more than half the pressure off me. I continued working as the veterinarian. Every day, I attended to special pets like bone rabbits, spirit cats, and paper parrots. Over time, the two of us developed an easy rhythm. I handled examinations and treatment. He cared for aquatic pets and managed the shop's daily tasks. In the blink of an eye, 5 years passed. Because of their pets, anomalies from every level achieved unprecedented unity. Players no longer dared cause trouble at will. The pet shop had become a recognized sanctuary in the horror game. Mu Li and I still watched over our little shop. Xiaoji's old injuries were completely healed. The three-headed Hellhound, once covered in scars and forced into bloody battles to protect his master, no longer had to endure harm in his master's place. He simply stayed safely by his master's side. The Snake King finally broke free of his fate as ruler of 100 snakes. He never returned to the Snake Island level where fighting never ceased. Once he had lost the weight and fully recovered, he gave up his throne in the fighting. He made the pet shop his true home. He never outgrew his proud, prickly nature. Every day, he waited precisely for me to feed him low-fat dried fish. After eating, he would coil by the door and bask in the sun. Whenever lesser monsters tried to cause trouble, one casual flick of his tongue and his oppressive aura sent them away. He became the shop's guardian beast. Mu Li and I stood at the entrance, watching the lazy Snake King. Mu Li instinctively edged closer to me. We were close enough to feel each other's warmth. Through every day and night to come, we would watch over this little shop and the living creatures beside us. In this game filled with darkness, we would keep this warmth alive forever. At dusk, I still lay in my rocking chair, watching the blood-red sunset. Who would have thought life in a horror game could be pretty good?